about 100 of these little pie pumpkins over the last couple of weeks and have them down in my root cellar. And my wife wanted to try a couple of them out, making a couple pies and some pumpkin bread. So I figured I'd just do a video of just how easy it is to, start with the pie pumpkins and to roast them and turn them into a puree for a pie or, cake or whatever you want. So you just basically you rip those little handles off of them and then cut them in half. And we use a grapefruit spoon to scoop out the seeds when once they're cut. And the grapefruit spoon does a pretty good job too of being able to cut through that stringy stuff, and you try to get most of that out. I mean, it's kind of impossible to get 100% of it out, but if you just scrape at it, work at it for a while, they'll come out pretty clean. These are just two of the sugar pie pumpkins, and if you look at them, you notice that they're basically from sugar pie seeds from different packs, and they have a completely different look to them. One is a little bit shorter, and the other one's a little bit taller and skinnier. So after you get them all cleaned out, what we do is we put them on a cookie sheet with a piece of aluminum foil under them, and then we set the oven to 375. Then you put them in the oven, and usually it takes anywhere between 45 minutes and an hour until they're done. You want to cook them until they're basically, they get to be a fork tender, and the skin on them actually starts to puff up a little bit and get a little bit, wrinkly looking. So there you can see the first ones were a little bit smaller, and they came out a little bit sooner. And there's the second pumpkin that had a little thicker skin and took a little bit longer. Then the next thing you do is you get out the food processor and just put the blade on it, and you let the pumpkins cool for about an hour or so you can really handle them and they're not too hot to touch anymore or anything. And then just go back through and scrape out all the pulp or meat, whatever you want to call it, out of them, and just put that in your food processor. I just can't believe how many people buy that stuff out of a can with all the chemicals and whatnot, when this is just so easy to, to do. It's just a little bit of baking and scraping and just a little bit of food processing. So there we go. We got the first pumpkin in there, the two halves of it, and basically just put the food processor on, and my wife runs it for maybe about 30 seconds. And you'll see it's starting to get pretty creamy, and it's everything moving around in there. And then at the end of her the first 30 seconds, she just takes the top off and mixes it in case there's any lumps that pushed up out of there or whatnot, and then puts the top on, and then just processes it for another 30 seconds, I mean, after which it will come out really nice, smooth, and creamy. Now, each pie that my wife makes takes 2 cups of the pumpkin puree. So what we do is we have some old plastic containers that we save and we use all the time, and each one will hold exactly 2 cups. So what she'll do is she'll measure it out in the container, and she'll, if she has extra or does an extra pumpkin or whatnot, she can always take and just throw one of these in the freezer and use it at a later time also. So it works out real good to, if you cook an extra pumpkin when you're doing it, to have some extra in the winter already done. So there you can see that's basically the first pumpkin done. And now going back to scrape out and do the second pumpkin. Basically, it's the same thing, just, scrape it out and then run the food processor for about 30 seconds, then shut it down, and then mix it up and run it for another 30 seconds. We've often thought about, trying to can some of the pumpkins to keep them too, but we just didn't like the idea that you can only do it as cubes and you have to do it in water. So this basically is, what we stick to. And at the end of the season, when the pumpkins are starting to get old, maybe about February or so, that's when we'll take a lot of the extra ones and just cook them down like this, and just freeze the 2 cup containers of the puree for pies later. Now, after getting this puree ready, my wife decided she was going to bake a couple pies, and I was going to do a video of it, but she said basically you can just use any recipe that you want for the crust and, for making the filling. And here's a couple of her crusts that she just made up today. Now, if anybody's interested, I could, do a video of her making the crust. But she said basically it's just, a simple recipe, and you just have to roll it out and um, put it in the pans like that. And then this is the filling that she made. And there we have two pies ready to go. Well, two crusts ready to be filled with the pumpkin filling. And, I could always, if anybody is interested in a video about the filling also, I could, maybe convince her in the future to do it. And there we have the two pies out of the oven a couple minutes later. And they really did come out to be good tasting. Now, when they first come out of the oven, you'll see they look like they're a little bit swollen up. And in a couple of minutes, they'll drop to be like a nice level surface. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.